Good morning, Mom's Master Books. Hope you're having a fantastic week. Hey, today we're going to talk about developing an academic plan for your student, planning for college, career, um, avoiding the confusion. I think sometimes we stress out a lot about this, and I don't think it's, even if you have young students, I don't think it's wrong to be thinking towards this. We're educating our students and preparing them for life. And I think it's good to start asking questions and to start observing a little bit as we prepare our students. What are some of their aptitudes? What are things that they're interested in? Are they normally able to, are they good with their hands? Are they good academically? Are they good leaders? Those type of things. Even at a young age, you begin seeing that. Developing an academic plan is something that I think there's a lot of confusion, because as you hear the rumors of homeschool kids can't get into college, homeschool kids have struggles, in different areas. There's a really easy way to do this. So the first thing I would say is, when it comes to college, I would encourage any parent to really make sure that college is necessary for your student and for the track that they have. Not that I'm downplaying college, but I'm also saying I don't think I would spend $100,000 for a career that, or for a degree, if it isn't what's required. So let me talk a little bit about that. My daughter wanted to go into missions. And so we had found a school that had a missions program. She was going to go for medical missions, and we went to look at that. We got ready to do the enrollment, and I said, before we do that, let's go look at organizations like Samaritan's Purse, Convoy of Hope, different ones that we trusted. What do they look for when they hire for this position? And what we found out was that if you went to the jobs and careers page, they didn't want somebody that had missions, pastor, Christian, anything on their diploma. They wanted business people. They wanted people that had graduated from a different university, things like that. So what I would say is, if you have a 7th, 8th grader, 6th, 7th, or 8th grader, and you're beginning to plan out their high school course, you are also their guidance counselor at this point. Right? So you also are helping to prepare them for the launch. And in this arena, what I would say is, what is your student interested in? Are they interested in business? Are they interested in teaching? Are they interested in medical or science? What are they interested in? Once you have that, then I would go and find some companies or organizations that hire people with those specialties. If it's a sales and marketing company, go to a company that sells products. If it's any organization, a school, go and look and see what do they require of their applicants. Once you have that, you may be surprised. Some require more experience than they do education. Some require a 4-year degree in a specialized field. So even though at 7th or 8th grade, it's a little bit early at those stages to kind of know, it gives you an idea of the target, right? Because chances are, from the time that they're in 6th, 7th, or 8th grade, they're going to change what their interests are and that type of thing. But you want to have at least some idea of what, in the field that they're interested, what requirements are going to be there. So before I go any further, if you're joining me, I'd love to hear from you. We're going to choose somebody to put 2,500 reward points into your account. So be sure to comment. If you are going through the process and you have input where you're looking at colleges and you're in this process, I'd love to hear where you are in that process as well. So be sure to comment and let me know. Okay, so what I would say is, you got to know where you're going in order to get there. And unless you're able to define that, the idea of we're just going to go to college for the sake of going to college, I don't think is as good of an idea as it once was, because a college education, unless it's in a specialty field or whatnot, it may just be a lot of money for a degree that isn't as needed or as useful as it once was. And that doesn't mean I think you just have to really research that, and for your family, know that that's the direction the Holy Spirit's leading. Okay, so first thing is, where are we going? Okay, sometime I was a little boy, wanted to be in marketing. That was all I wanted to do, was marketing. And then as I grew up in the 80s, all of the movies that I admired were about marketing executives. And from the time I was in high school, that's all I wanted to do was sales and marketing. And so I knew kind of a track that I was going on. Now I fell into, well, then I need to go to college in order to my next step. And the reality is, in sales and marketing, it's a little bit different of a game. What you need to do is get experience. And a lot of those entry level positions are selling insurance, selling windows and siding. They're the knock on door type positions until you earn a little bit of your chops and can move more into executive sales and that type of thing. So I went into college and got an associate's degree, but I was clueless as to what I was doing. The opportunity opened up when I turned 28 to go back into an executive program, and I went to college, and everything I took in those courses was so much more valuable, because now I was learning very specialized information from a group of people who were more mature, and they had been in the field, and so it worked out very well for me to get my bachelor's degree at that time. So once you know the degree, and like for my daughter who was going into missions, it shocked us when if she had gone the route that we thought, she wants to be a missionary, so she's going to go to college and she's going to be a missionary. When she had graduated from college, she would have been shocked to then have tried to apply to one of those organizations and found out that she was actually disqualified because the degree she had chosen would have disqualified her for that. So I think that's why it's good to start with, what kind of career would you like to do? What are the academic requirements to enter that career, or the experience requirements to enter that career? Once we know that, then we can actually begin preparing a little bit better. So I'm hoping everything is coming through, because I don't have any comments yet, but be sure, if you're watching, to comment for a chance to have 2,500 reward points put into the account. Okay. Okay, so once I know if the academic requirements, what I would encourage you to do, and you could do this very easily even today, is to pick 2 or 3 colleges that your student might be interested in. You could pick an online learning, like a Liberty University that has a number of accredited programs. You could pick a Christian college. You could pick a secular college, and just go onto their website, look at the admissions, click on the admissions, and see what the admissions plan is. Knowing what the admission requirements are for a student will let you then begin to build an academic plan tailored towards the college requirements, if that's what you're doing. For others, it's just preparing them for a career, right? So we have 3 different types of diplomas: a vocational diploma, which is very specific to a vocation, a general education diploma, and then a college prep, which is usually a little more rigorous. So if you know that the university that you're interested in going to has a requirement for 4 math, 4 science, 4 languages, some history, electives with labs, those type of things, then you can start looking to plan out the 4 years, grades 9 through 12, accordingly. So I think my caution, and one of the things we see is people are nervous about getting into college, but there's this fear because you haven't actually faced it. If you go and find out what the college requirements are, like some of them want to have a certain score on the ACTs or the SATs. So by going and looking at 3 or 4 different admissions pages, you get a good idea of what a college is going to require of your student, and then you can begin teaching to that purpose. So if I know that they're going to need 4 math courses, and they all need to be upper math courses, I know that I can't get away with, maybe we have to catch them up in math before we're actually going to get, the Algebra 1, Algebra 2, geometry, and trig, or something of that nature. So Same with our sciences. So um, the so looking at what colleges require and then beginning to build the transcript, your student's academic plan, to tailor it so that they can enter the field that they're interested in. Now, if they're looking at a specialty field and they change, it's not that big of a deal. You just adjust the academic plan accordingly. But you do want to make sure that you have some good just an idea. So rather than just taking somebody's word for it, even calling an admissions office and talking to them and saying, I'm preparing my student, I'm interested, we're interested in preparing them to come into this university upon graduation, and we would like to know, we're homeschooling. What would you require from me as a homeschooler? Is there anything that I should know specifically up front? And having that understanding personally, that you then are making much more informed decisions than responding in a fear, I hope they can get into college type thing. So just being rather purposeful, I guess, in that area. Let's see. If maybe your student is not sure, what I would recommend is, start asking good questions, even when your students are very young. But you're going to see that their taste and things change. But when your students start getting into high school and whatnot, to make sure there are aptitude tests where you can test the students' personalities. There are some really good tests online that are free that will even tell what their personality type and what people with this personality type, what type of careers they tend to excel in. And that way, maybe there's a certain bend that you can help encourage them towards those areas. What are their interests? Do they light up when it comes to working with young children, or do they light up when it comes to working with the elderly? What are those types of things that we begin to see in those areas? And then I would encourage you to begin testing the waters. I was speaking with one of the moderators this morning, and she was saying that a lot of the colleges even want community service. They want to know that there was volunteer work, and they want that on a transcript. So testing the waters is, if they're interested in marketing, or they're interested in healthcare, or they're interested in teaching, is there opportunity for them to volunteer? Can they do internships? Or can we just go and interview a handful of teachers that maybe we don't know? What would you, and ask them, what would you recommend if you were entering this field? When we were younger, Kristen was on track to become an accountant. And one of the things our guidance counselor did was he took us to an accounting practice, and he actually had us interview the vice president, or that was running that accounting practice, and talk to him about when you hire a new accountant, what do you look for from them? And he told us the type of universities, what kind of grades they wanted, what kind of experience they wanted, what they look for with interns, and that type of thing. So as she began the college process, she had a really good understanding of what she was working towards, rather than just blindly saying, I'm going to go get my accounting degree, and then when I get out of school, I'm going to become an accountant. Because the real world of job hunting, a lot of times, is built more on the networks that we have. It's built on the experience that we have. It's built on our ability to communicate our thoughts and ideas effectively. Education is an important part, but it isn't always as important as some of those things. So I think with our students, giving them the experience. What did you think about working in the hospital as a volunteer? What did you think about, interviewing nurses and RNs, LNs, and doctors and different people? And I find, even if, for me as a marketing executive, if somebody wanted to talk to me, as Americans, we tend to be very willing to talk about ourselves and what we would recommend, things that we're excited about, anything like that. So I would encourage that for sure, because as you're planning out your future, it's going to change, especially this generation. They will change jobs so many times. that you need to prepare them as well. Like the training and the education never stops. What I did in my 20s was preparing me for the next job, for the next job, for the next job. Even time that I spent in a different career was still preparing me for this position. And the Lord directs our steps. So we teach them how to accumulate information in building a resume. Another good thing to do is to look at a resume. What do resumes look like for the position that somebody would want? Just a sample of a resume, or even if we were building a fake resume, what would that look like based on the experience we have? I think so many people think, hey, I want to do this, so I'm going to graduate school, I'm going to get into a college, I'm going to get the degree, then I'm going to go and get my job. And they find out that either the market is full of people and the jobs aren't as available, or they didn't get all the requirements that they needed, or the positions that they have available aren't all that they thought it would be. So kind of starting at the end and working your way backward is what I would recommend. And I think for some students, even a transition year might be valuable, where when they finish, they take time to work and understand the relationship of just maturing a little bit before they come into that spot. So we're going to be talking more about this, because I realize the end goal that we all have is helping our kids succeed in life. And my views on college have certainly changed over the years, and I probably believe heavier now in really investigating college, if it's a necessary, is important. Otherwise, I want my kids to understand how to network. I want even your young children, right? Prepare them to introduce themselves. Have them walk up to somebody, look them in the eye, shake their hand and say, my name is Randy. It's nice to meet you. And begin developing that confidence of connecting with people as humans. And then essential is writing. I know that grammar is important. Well, I try to know grammar is important. But I know that being able to effectively communicate, presenting ourselves verbally, communicating, if I sit here the whole time doing this, which I probably do, it means I'm nervous, I'm communicating tension, those things, understanding that our body is communicating things as well. All of these things play into the success that we experience as adults. So as we're preparing our students, wanting them to be able to communicate, to understand the world around them, how to interact with people, these are so essential to their futures, whether or not they go to college. Or career, right? There are careers, if you have a child who wants to be a mechanic, understanding, go to the local garage and talk to them and say, what do you require in order to be hired by your garage? What do you require of my student? Is it a high school diploma? Is it, what type of training? Do you pay for training? Do I need to go to college for training? Because believe it or not, I've seen people go and get, they've gone to college and paid for it when it was available. Maybe the garage was willing to pay for training, or sometimes counties are willing to train for law enforcement if they're low on deputies or whatnot. They're willing to actually pay and fund the cost to send students to the that's not university, but where they send law enforcement. And so I would see people go get a criminal justice degree in order to be a police officer, and it wasn't always required if they could get training that way. So I think this is the beginning of some discussions that we're going to have, because we know a lot of you are preparing students to go to college. Some of you in this group have students going to college, and you've been through the process. I really don't think that it's as scary. We've graduated 5. We've sent 1 through college. And the rest, we've chosen different tracks to launch them. But once you know what a college is requiring, and there's a lot of other ways to get through into college, right? You can do a junior 2-year college, get your first 60 credit hours, and then transfer to another university and get your degree from that university. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. And I don't the best way, I think, is to just start checking out admission procedures after you know what type of requirements are required in the field. I know for a lot of colleges, and this is something we do with our students even when we don't intend for them to go to college, is we have them take their SATs or their ACT tests. You can find practice tests online, which if you're concerned at all about it and you have a student who is 10th grade, 11th grade, have them go take a PSAT test, one of the pre-SAT tests, and see how they do. Is there things that they understand? You can at least get an idea. Do they need help in math? Did they have problem articulating a paragraph, or were there some vocabulary that we need to work on? There are so many courses and things that you can do online to prepare your students to take those tests. And a lot of universities want their high school transcript. They have certain things that they require, but then they want the ACT or SAT scores to be above a certain level. So all of those are very easy to do. And I would encourage you, rather than to be fearful of it, is to face the fears. Don't be afraid to call a college, or don't be afraid to do the research and have them take a practice test and just see how they do. It's better to know where your student is than to worry about it and not face that fear. So good. Well, be sure to comment. Let me know your thoughts about this. And there hasn't been any feedback on my Facebook. For some reason, Facebook isn't feeding any comments. So I'd love to know what you're thinking, and if there's anything additional that we can do to provide some additional assistance in the future as well, if you're using master books and how that fits into the program. This is more of a generic, let's just get started talk. Let's see where the group is and the kind of questions that you have, and then we will find the right resources to be able to start answering those questions. All right. Good. Well, hopefully this was a blessing. Be sure to let me know you were here for a chance to have 2,500 reward points put into your account. And may God bless you in a special and remarkable way today in the work that you're doing. Talk to you later.